Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of the AskDAP show, where we answer your VW and Audi questions. Let's get into our questions.
A user on VW Vortex says, was supposed to take the car on a trip tomorrow, and today it all of a sudden, out of the blue, cut out when I was shifting from first to second. I pushed the clutch back in and the engine was fine when I put my foot back on the gas. Then a few minutes later, acceleration, I got the same thing. No check engine light though. I pulled over and listened to the engine for a second and it seemed fine, so I pulled back out and again it cut out, this time bad, and it finally pulled a check engine light. I was almost dead in front of an O'Reilly, so I let them pull codes, and the only code it has is P2293. I did some reading on here and other places, and read horror stories about the cam follower, so I checked and mine looks great, so that isn't my issue. I'm thinking it's either the high pressure pump or the sender, but will both of them cause the engine cutouts, or does that symptom point me to one or the other? I have read that a lot of people do not have the symptom. I am really stressing here. I have only owned the car for a couple of weeks, still has a temporary plate on it. It's a 2006 Jetta 2.0T FSI 6-speed manual car, and it is running great other than this. In fact, I probably put 50 or more miles on it today before this happened, and it was 100 degrees today. Could the heat be contributing to this?
Okay, when it comes to any fuel-related fault on an FSI car, it's great that you started by checking the cam follower. That is 100% on any FSI engine where you should start. Check it, verify there's no wear problems, verify there's no damage done to the cam lobe. Once you've done that, the fault itself points specifically to the N276 valve, which is the valve, the solenoid internally in the high pressure pump that actually controls the fuel pressure output. Now, the problem is knowing the cause of it is tough. The high pressure fuel pump, if it was locking up, could cause it to stall if that pressure regulating valve isn't working properly. The other variable is it could think that high pressure pump isn't working properly because the low pressure pump is having issues due to heat, which is more common for an electrical part to have those type of problems. So it could be the high pressure pump, the low pressure pump, or even the low pressure module. So any of those three are possible. It's probably best to start with the module because they are pretty prevalent to fail. We've mentioned them in another one of our shows, and that actually did repair that particular vehicle that had a hot cutout issue. So that's probably the best place to start. Diagnosing it is definitely much more complicated and requires a VAGCOM and a lot of logging and things like that. So if you don't have all that skill set, you can either pay somebody to diagnose it or try to put a module in it first and see if that takes care of your problem.
Donald via email has a 2011 Mark VI APR GTI with a Stage 3 kit. Over the past few months, I have been experiencing rough low idle on warm starts. The idle does not self-correct, but will return to normal after I give it some gas. I ran a scan of faults using VAGCOM and didn't come up with anything. I don't believe this to be an issue with misfires. I replaced the plugs and coils about 5,000 miles ago. I think this is probably a fuel system related issue. I've also noticed a short whining sound immediately after I start up, but never hear the whining sound any other time. I've attached a sound clip for you. Thanks in advance for your help.
Okay, Donald has a sound clip for us. Now, just for reference, we got a little more information from him. Other than his other turbo upgrades, he also has a CTS catch can on the vehicle, which is relevant. So let's listen to that sound clip. So the sound that we're hearing in that clip seems much like a PCV valve on startup. Now, the CTS catch can, I believe, removes the PCV valve and puts a block-off plate in place. Now, I assume, I'm not familiar with the exact system of the CTS. I assume there's some sort of check valve in place for that catch can system when it's installed to prevent, obviously, pressure from coming back into the crankcase. very likely you have a vacuum leak of some kind. If you have a low idle issue that is causing misfires, or it seems like misfires at least based on the fact it's low idle, it doesn't correct, and then does correct at some point, is most likely your issue. Now, I would jump to PCV valve, but since you don't have one, you want to verify you don't have any leaks in the catch can system or potential leaks anywhere else in the system, which could be, you know, anywhere from a boost pipe that's partially mounted on, or a crack in a pipe or something. So you may want to actually go through and smoke test the vacuum system and the PCV setup just to see if you have another leak of some kind.
Brent via YouTube says, "Hello, enjoy watching the DIY and info videos, but I have an issue with my Mark V GTI FSI with 73,000 miles. I haven't been able to find any info regarding my issue exactly. I don't want to spend hundreds at the dealer for them to just look at it. Anyway, my car is throwing a CEL Bank 1 lean. I believe it's P0171. I have had the codes cleared 2 times now, and after about 200 miles of driving it comes back on. The car isn't losing power or idling rough. I'm not sure what my issue could be, and I was hoping you could narrow it down. I appreciate the help in advance. Thanks."
Okay, Brent, so any lean fault in a system, especially on more current model cars, is almost exclusively related to vacuum leaks. Sometimes on older cars, lean faults might have meant mass airflow sensor problems or oxygen sensor problems, which is still a possibility, but it's very likely to be the case you have a vacuum leak of some kind. Now, the fact that you're saying there is no rough running situation means it's probably pretty small, but the fact that it continues to come back is a pretty good sign that you have a consistent vacuum leak. Now, tracking that down is not always easy. One common place that FSIs leak is there is a vacuum hose that runs back towards the brake booster. It actually goes through the coolant flange on the side of the head. It's on the driver's side of the engine. We actually have a DIY that will link up right here. And that DIY shows you how to replace that hose. Now, that is a common place that there's vacuum leaks, because there's a nipple that breaks, and there's also hard pipes that are plastic that get brittle and crack over time. So that's probably where you want to start. Now, once you get past that point, you're really going to probably have to pay somebody to diagnose it. It's going to require smoke testing the system to verify that there is, or verify where the vacuum leak is if you indeed have one, which is essentially, when you're paying them to diagnose your car, you're not paying them to plug in and scan your car, you're paying for them to actually diagnose the problem and track down what's going on. So, you know, we love to help people, but we can only do so much. We're going to give you top-line advice based on our experience. It isn't really a diagnosis of your car. We're just giving you advice to do the best we can with the situation. That is why people get paid to diagnose cars. So hopefully that works out for you, and that you can track down your vacuum leak. Thank you for watching episode 5 of the AskDAP show. Shoot us an email with any questions you have on your VW or Audi.